today is Tuesday, October 25th, 2011. I am going to go over the trades that we had that set up in the live trading room this morning, the trades that we took, the trades that we missed, and all that stuff. Now I'll do this as quickly as I can, but let me just start off with what the actual results were. We had 1 tick plus 1 tick on the ES, and we had plus 12 ticks on the YM. That's how we ended the morning. All right. Now that I've done that, I'll put that back and bring that back over here. All right. Now on the YM, excuse me, I'll start with the YM. Our first missed trade was right over here this morning. Price pulled. We had a bullish cross, and price pulled back down to the BBC, bounced right up off it. I missed that one totally. There was another one over here this morning where we had a bearish cross and price pulled back to the BBC. It actually went down to the MA1 and then bounced back up. So I would have either gotten a break even on that or taken some profit when it hit the MA1. In this particular case, the BBC was at 735 and the MA1 was at 723. So it's, I don't know. I probably would have gotten a break even on that. I would have been quick with my risk because I was risking 7 ticks on that and there was only about 8 ticks down to the MA1. Right, I missed it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. This here, we had a bullish cross, but we didn't have a pull away from the BBC before we had to pull back to it right here. Okay, after the cross, so we didn't take that trade. We did take this one over here. This was the first pullback to the BBC, the first official pullback to the BBC after the pull away, and I didn't think we were going to have a huge momentum bar when I put the trade on, and we ended up having a huge momentum bar, and it just stopped me right out quickly, and it set us up on the other side. We had a bearish cross, and so I shorted right here on the pullback up to the BBC. Okay. And I got 20 ticks out of that. I think I ended up losing 10 on this one. All right, so I lost 10 ticks on this one. I got some slippage. I lost 10 ticks, and I made on this one here I made 20. So I was plus 10 at this point. Over here we had divergence. I was looking for it to pull back up here and then move down and close below the MA1 with enough room so that my stop would just be on the other side of the MA1. All right, we got this close right here, and it moved down, and it didn't seem to have any momentum when it moved down, so I moved my stop up to plus a couple of ticks, and that took me out at plus a couple of ticks. All right, from there it moved up pretty strongly, and we had a bullish cross here. I did not take anything in here. This was during the break. All right, and right now it's way up here at this point. All right, so that's how we ended up plus 12 ticks on the YM. All right, we were down 10 here, plus 20 here, and plus 2 there. Okay, now we'll go to the ES over here. Okay, let me scroll back here to the ES, and we'll start at the beginning of the day. Now, at the very beginning of the day, the market opened up and I was having some charting issues. Well, it wasn't actually charting, it was computing issues. So I wasn't able to get involved in any of this stuff that was happening right here. All right, I wasn't able to get into it until after it started this retracement here. All right, once the market started to pull back up here, we had this pullback right here. Now the standard CFRN setup, this would not have been taken if you were doing the George setup. We'll just call it the George, since it's George's actual setup. George did the statistics on it and everything else. I'm not sure if George is in here right now. Yes, he is. You would have taken this long trade right here, this first pullback right here for 2 points, but we did not take that trade. All right, the next opportunity was over here, but we didn't have a fresh bubble for that one, so we didn't take that. The next one after that. Now, this is on the ES4 tick range. All right, we had taken one over here on the 10K. Let me scroll back to that one. All right, over here on the 4 tick range, we had this nice big bubble down here. Now, when I say bubble, I mean that these red lines are bubbling outside the black right here. So they moved outside the black. We had a nice bubble there, and it pulled back down to the excuse me, it pulled back down to the BBC. I ended up getting into this one late after it had already gone 1 full point. So I just tried to get out of it at break even, because I would have gotten out of it at break even had I entered over here. All right. I think I entered right in here and then I got out right over here. But it went a little bit more than a point in our favor, and then it went sideways for a bit before it turned around. That was a break-even trade for me. And then the BBC was inside the box in here, so there were no trades. Down here we needed a lower swing, so there were no trades. Finally we got down here, but we needed a fresh bubble, so no trades. We got back inside the box right here. See, the BBC is this green line, and when it's inside the box, when I'm talking about the box, I'm talking about this thing right here. If you're going short, it's above the dotted lines. If you're going long, it's below the dotted lines. And so over here, finally, we had an opportunity. Okay. For those of you who are watching this, the yellow arrows are trades that I actually took in the live trading room. Orange arrows are trades that set up that I missed. Okay. We had just a little bit of a bubble on this one. Price pulled back up to the BBC, and it went down here to my profit target. All right. That was good for 8 ticks. That was 8 ticks profit on that one. All right. I skipped by a few of these while I was just moving along here, but for those of you looking at George's trade, you would have gone long here for the 2 points. That would have worked out for you. For us, we waited until the BBC was outside the box. We had a fresh bubble. Price pulled back right here. And just as I was about to explain how I managed my risk, it came and stopped me out. I didn't even realize I was stopped out at the time because I had my thing behind it like that. But this, as you can see, this did go on to the profit target, but it stopped me out at break even. All right, so at this point, we had another trade right here, same thing. Pulled down, and it went almost to the profit target here. It went within a tick or two of the profit target. I moved my stop up to break even again, and it stopped me out at break even again. This one here, if you were doing George's thing, you would have been shorting right here. Okay, the first pullback, that filled. That one would have worked out. For us, we missed an opportunity over here. You know, that would have been a break even had we taken that opportunity. Again, we're in the break period here, but if you were doing George's thing, you would have gone long right here, and that would have worked out. And that's pretty much it for the ES on the 4-tick range. I did also miss a trade here this morning on the 10-tick. And on the 10,000 contract ES, this one right here, the first pullback to the BBC after the bullish cross. This was good for 2 points. It was actually good for about 5 points. And I had said that once it had happened, it was too late for me. But once it had happened, it was, price was bouncing around in here, and I had said, well, if you went long there, you would have been going long at 35.25, and our target would have only been up here at 37.25. But I would expect it to get up here to these green dots for a 5-point move, and it did get up to those green dots. The next one was over here. We had a bearish cross, and price pulled back up. Cycle was in favor of the trade. Everything was in favor of the trade, actually. And it pulled back up here and entered us and stopped us out to the tick. To the tick, unfortunately. And then it went right down to our profit target. Over here we had a bullish cross and a pullback. Right here we had a pullback to the BBC. Now there's no way you're gonna go long right into resistance, and with the cycle being that overbought. All right, so there was no trade there. We had a bearish cross. Price dropped down. It pulled back up. I missed this. It was 2.25 points, 2.5 points down to the support level. I don't know what I was doing at the time, but I was doing something else because I missed that trade. That went on for a couple of points. All right. Over here, now where we are right now, price gave us a bullish cross here, but it never pulled away from the BBC. All right, now it's pulled away from the BBC, but the cycle is overbought. We had a pierce of a blue envelope down here on the DMT, and that was from, what was the price level on that? That was from about 38. So from 38, you can expect a 5 to 6 point move up. All right, from 38, you should expect a 5 to 6 point move up to 40. 43, 44, probably okay. It should get up that high from here. And that was it. That was our morning. All right, so we ended up plus 1 tick here on the ES. With all those trades that we took, we ended up plus 1 tick on the ES and plus 12 ticks on the YM. All right, let me show you a couple other things while I still have it. In our partners meeting last week, we went over a bunch of things. One was if it will let me go to the 8-tick range here. One was looking at YM trades on the 8-tick range. I'll go over this just quickly and show you some things with this. One thing that a bunch of guys were doing this morning was trading pullbacks to the BBC after you get an elbow break. Okay, on the 8-tick range, like right there and right there and right here. Now those are good for 20, 30 each time, but I'm not sure what they're using for brackets. Different guys are using different things, but you can see the same thing on the other side here. Right here, this was 62 up to 83, good for 21. This is 70 up to 802, good for 32. This is 81 up to 97, good for 16. Now I don't think they're going for that many points on them all. I think they're going for like 10 or 15 points most of the time. And they're getting their 10 or 15 most of the time. Alright, I just wanted to point that out on the 8-tick range. And a couple more things while we're here. This is the 6E 4-tick range. One of the things that we went over in one of the meetings was when you get an elbow break and then a pullback to the BBC, it gives you an opportunity to go long. All right, if you have a nice wick below the BBC like this when you're going long, that indicates that there's strength in the price, and it's likely to move up. All right, you can see a couple of instances on the long side right there, and right over here are instances on the short side. Okay, there's one right there. There's one right there. One of our partners said he had 56 ticks after like the first hour this morning. I think it was 56. Alan, are you in here? No, he's not in here. I think it was 56 ticks after the first hour, doing just that. All right. There's other stuff that we have, but it's out in the members area, and only partners can see it, where we go over all this stuff. So if you are a partner, if you become a partner, then all that information is out there for you to see, for you to use to make money, to make a living. All right, that's where I'm going to stop. It's 12:32.